And we are live. Fantastic. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another video on the YouTube, the Inside Spurs YouTube channel. I hope we're all okay. I hope we're all right. I hope the day has treated you as well as it possibly could have treated you. Obviously, weekend, and it's officially, ladies and gentlemen, game day tomorrow. The Spurs is home. Well, their home debut of the season kicks off tomorrow. So we're talking about the game coming up. We'll be talking about team news for both Everton and of course Spurs. We'll be talking about some stats, some figures, and all that good stuff. You know all the good stuff that we do. Just want to say, if you're watching this and you new, subscribe. You're very much welcome to join us for the journey. Who's the guest? Hold off. I'm going to bring him in, and I'm going to surprise you all. Must-win game this, absolutely, Dan. Evening, Spurs. Evening, Sonia. Gonzo, how are we? You've midnight here in Perth, Australia. Hey, not a bad way to say goodnight to yourself by watching myself and my new guest. Robert, how are we? Yes, Dominic is out. We will be talking at Solanke's injury, so don't you worry about that. But let's bring in the surprise guest for this video. It is a bit different. I did say I'd guess a guest. I didn't lie. And I'll bring him in. So welcome to the YouTube channel, Luke. Luke, how are we, mate? How are we?
All good, Andy. Yeah, cheers for the introduction. I'm not sure who KL is, but I'm not sure if they're expecting a celebrity guest or a ex-Spurs player. But yeah, happy to be on, mate. And yeah, looking forward to the season.
Absolutely, mate. You are a celebrity. Don't you worry about that. I'll make sure that the community treat you with some respect and they're nice to you. The community is great anyway. It's not like that. Obviously, I know you've been a subscriber to the channel anyway, so I know you know what it's like. But you know, you get some cracking people in this community. So, Luke, just introduce yourself, I guess. Let everyone know who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, so I'm Luke. Obviously, I've been friends with Andy since school, year 7, I'd say. Andy, Spurs fan all my life. Been through the all the hard times with you, Andy, and all the Spurs fans on the chat. So yeah, we've been through the pain together, mate. But I think I'm probably more of a realist on the kind of bringing stuff back to earth. But yeah, I'm bringing good vibes though. So
that's it, mate. It's all it is about this channel is about good vibes. But yeah, you know, absolutely, you've got a welcome from Robert. You got Rec, my lovely Rec. He gave me a lot of stick through the Euros, but he's brilliant. I love Rec. He's asked, is that Luka Modric? Yeah. That's a beautiful compliment. That's all I'm going to say. Obviously, Sonia, OG of the chat saying hello to you. And obviously, James, nice to meet you. So, Luke, let's jump in. And first and foremost, Luke, if I'm honest, I actually want to get your thoughts and views about the Leicester game. Obviously, we actually watched it together. If you aren't aware, I watched the game with Luke. And I want to get your thoughts and feelings about the game because I think if knowing yourself, Luke, obviously I know you have Twitter, and I know very much Twitter imploded on itself when Spurs drew against Leicester. Can I get your thoughts and feelings about the game quickly, mate?
Yes, mate. Really happy the first half, like most Spurs fans were. Really good attacking football. Pepper in the goal. Dom Solanke looks really lively. Brilliant, bringing other players into the game. I even thought the defenders looked really good as well. Running back, getting the ball back, the pressing was there. Obviously, second half it completely changed, like we all know. First 10 minutes was fine, but as soon as Jamie Vardy got his goal, it sort of the tide changed, didn't it, slightly for about 10-15 minutes. Probably could have gone 2-1 down with Vicario's good save there, and then. We bring on some subs, didn't we? There was a bit of a stoppage of play with obviously Bentancur going off with a bit of a concussion injury. Hopefully he's okay. But we couldn't really get back into. We had a couple of chances at the end, but it wasn't as attacking as probably the first half. But I think we'll be fine for the season. I think we're going to do well. It's just that first game, isn't it? Obviously, some of the same errors that we had last season we've seen, but hopefully Ange can get it into his players, and we've got plenty of time to make up for it as well. Starting with Saturday, 3 o'clock at Everton.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I think obviously I've spoken on this channel post the game and everything. Everyone knows my views. I'm not going to spend time talking about how I felt about Leicester and what have you. I think we share very similar thoughts about that game and the good, the bad, the ugly, and all sorts. And there was good cameos from the lads that came off the bench, obviously in quite a tough situation. But yes, we do have updates on Bentancur. We have updates on Porro. We have updates about all sorts. But more importantly, whenever you have guests over to your house, you always make sure that they're served properly. And so when we talk about Everton, they're our guests. So let's jump in and let's talk about the team news coming out of Everton. And they are riddled with injury, just like they were last season when they played against us. So they're missing at the moment Nathan Patterson, the right back, with a thigh injury. Jarrad Branthwaite, the £70 million centre half. Well, what they want, I guess. He's still injured at the moment. They've labelled it as groin, hip, or pelvic. So he's kind of just screwed if he wants to sit down. You've got James Garner missing out with injury. Seamus Coleman is missing out as well. Ashley Young obviously suspended after getting sent off against Brighton. And James Tarkowski is down for a late fitness test, but there's a chance that he may miss that as well. So looking at it, you're missing Branthwaite, you're missing Tarkowski, which obviously that was the main centre-back partnership from last year. You're missing Nathan Patterson, who's probably the starting right back. James Garner obviously spent a lot of time in the midfield. So I guess we'll come on to it. Team news-wise, Luke, they're pretty riddled with injury. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, did you watch the game on Saturday against Brighton? I watched the highlights, and one of our good friends, Ben, is a Brighton fan, isn't he? So he was sort of telling us a little bit of the insight as to Everton were bad, but they started off okay. And then obviously they got the red card in the second half. But yeah, it seems like quite a lot of their defenders, I know obviously Ashley Young is got a red card now, so he's not available. Obviously Branthwaite, the kind of breakout star for them last season. I know Man United are linked with him, and a few others want him as well. Not fit. So yeah, I can't really, just their lineup, it's just going to be maybe players we've never heard of, new players coming in this season. So it'd be interesting to see who is their starting 11 on Saturday and how we match up against them.
Well, I mean, when we played them last year, they were somewhat riddled with injury last year as well. And I remember very clearly from both games, they gave us absolute issues. Obviously, when we played at Goodison, we drew 2-2 with obviously Branthwaite equalising in the 94th minute. So, look, they've always been a team in theory that we've had some decent success with in the past. But all I'm going to say is, I guess, is with the amount of injuries that they have, let's not write them off, you know. Kyrie's asking you what you think of Brennan Johnson, Luke. We'll come back to Brennan Johnson in a minute when we talk about Spurs players. I've already given Luke a heads up about Kyrie.
I've got my opinion on Johnson, so yeah.
Well, when we talk about Spurs, we will come to him because obviously we need to talk about the injury issues and what we think the starting 11 is going to be. James reckons 6-0. James, I'd love it, mate, if it was 6-0. I would kill people for a 6-0. So yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about the Spurs team news side of things. Now, obviously, we had a situation with Bissouma, obviously from his Snapchatting mistake. We'll just leave it as that. Obviously, got himself a suspension from the club about it, but Ange has welcomed him back in for the game coming up, which I think with Bentancur's injury, it probably forced the hand of Ange a little bit to bring him back in. Obviously, on top of that, we know about Bentancur having his concussion situation. So we know Bentancur's out for this weekend. I don't think that's going to shock anyone. When you have a concussion, it's normally, I think it's about 10 days is the protocol, if I remember correctly. But obviously, there is a situation with Dominic Solanke and having an injury. The man that played every single game possible last year in the Premier League for Bournemouth plays one game for Spurs. And he's out injured with an ankle injury. I think it's Vestergaard when he fell on him. And apparently he's played through the injury. The next day, it's flared up and it's a problem. So, Luke, with the injuries of, Bentancur and the injuries of Solanke, at least we have a little bit of good news that Pedro Porro is somewhat fit for the game. Your thoughts and feelings about all those injuries?
Yeah, happy that Pedro Porro's okay for the game because he's in my FPL, so that's a good thing for me. Had a really good week last week, so happy about that.
Must be nice. Must
I
be
think I'm
nice.
second in the Inside Spurs group at the moment, so hopefully we keep that up.
Yeah,
But
it must be nice.
yeah, interested to see who's going to play in midfield actually, because we'd think that Basuma is going to come in at that number 6 position, but I'm not sure if Ange will make him suffer a little bit more with his actions, because I know he's had, obviously, Ali Gold sort of said before that him and Ange have had a conversation about being a role model for the youngsters, and the next day he turns up late for training and stuff like that. So I think I'm not sure if he's going to make a little bit more out of it than we think. Maybe make him suffer a little bit more. I know he can come back straight in because the suspension's finished with the club, but we're going to have the ball, aren't we, for most of the game? I think against Everton. So could Bergvall come in centre mid as a 6 or an 8, or maybe Pape comes in as a 6, and then you have Maddison and you have Bergvall, or even could you have Maddison and Kulusevski in that centre mid with Pape as the 6? Because for me, I think we'll have 80% of the ball. I think we're just about putting the ball in the net, I think, again, against Everton. So interested to see what Ange goes with the centre mids, because I thought, as I said, Bergvall came and looked really, really good. I think Richie will come in for Solanke in the striker. It's good to have that option, even though he is linked with going away a little bit, isn't he, with the Saudi links. But I think it'd be good to have Richie in for the whole game, just to see if he's overcome that injury. I think it'll be Son on the left. I think it'll be Johnson on the right, for a bit of continuity, and it'll be the same back 5. So that's what I'm going with. I think, as I said, I think we'll dominate the ball. I think it'll just be about putting the ball in the net on this one. I don't think they have much threat going forward, and being at home, obviously, with the Spurs fans being there. Hopefully, yeah, we'll get the win and kick the season off properly.
Well, I mean, a clean sheet would be a novelty when it comes to Spurs. It's been a long time since we were a dominant defensive side. But when we look at the team from the team that played, obviously, Leicester on Monday night, obviously, Vic was in goal, Destiny and Porro as your fullbacks, Mickey and Kuti as your centre-halves. That you think is going to stay the same. Obviously, the midfield, Bentancur, Sarr, Maddison. Obviously, we are forced to make at least one change in there with the Bentancur concussion. Front 3, Sonny, Brennan, and Solanke, obviously forcing ourselves into at least another change. So you're guaranteeing, well, not you, is more of a general you, that we're guaranteeing at least 2 changes going into the next game with Bentancur and Solanke. Will it be Basuma? Will it be Archie Gray, maybe?
Completely forgot about Archie Gray. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, number 6, yeah.
Our friend Scott's going to try and have you for that. But, when we look at Solanke, obviously Richie would be the natural replacement. But it's a situation where they go, well, we tried Kulusevski centrally. That worked out well. We've still got Sonny that can play centrally. There's also that. So let's I tell you what, why don't we come to the predicting of the Everton 11 first? It's a bit difficult for us, obviously, because they've got so many injuries. But the Everton team, Pickford in goal, we all know that will be the same thing. Mikolenko at left back, Michael Keane at centre half. You'd have to say they're probably going to be back in the team. Ashley Young at right back, that will have to change, which Mason Holgate looks like it's probably going to be that guy. Tarkowski, he's a doubt. And if he was a miss out, you'd probably say Jake O'Brien, the Leon centre half, is going to come in there. Idrissa Gana Gay, and I don't know how to say his last name. Apologies, but Irojibunam. I don't know how to say his last name. Apologies there. With Decore also centrally, with Jack Harrison, Dwight McNeil, and Calvert-Lewin wide. I mean, there's a situation where you might find Jesper Lindstrom come in there. Obviously, a new signing. Beto, obviously the striker. Ilman and Dai potentially featuring. But let's talk about the one that maybe Spurs fans aren't as keen on. One, Neil Maupay. Could we see Neil Maupay and his antics feature, Luke? What do you reckon?
I forgot he's back, isn't he? He's back at Everton because he was on loan at Brentford, wasn't he, last season? It'd be classic, wouldn't it? Him in front of the South Stand, giving it a little bit of that again with the darts. No, we'll hope not. Yeah, I think you've probably got it about right there. It depends if Tarkowski's fit, where Mason Holgate could play. and this new Josh O'Brien, is it? Josh O'Brien, I think.
Sorry,
Because
I'll
he's
give you the
defender,
exact
isn't he?
name because I've even butchered it myself. It is Jake O'Brien.
Jake O'Brien. Yeah. Because he's defender, isn't he? So he could play right back, or Mason Holgate could play right back. It depends where, and if Tarkovsky's fit, obviously. But I think it will be pretty much the same. They don't have that many options off the bench. I'm just looking now. Maybe Lindstrom comes in for his full debut for Everton in the Premier League. So he looked really good. He was at, where was he last season? Somewhere in Germany, wasn't it?
What, Lindstrom?
Yeah.
I
He
think
played against us, didn't he? In the Champions League.
I think it was Napoli.
Was it Napoli? Did he go to Napoli before? Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, don't hold me to that.
But yeah, it doesn't look. Just looking at their bench now from last week, there's not that much on that's going to cause us too much problem. I don't
No,
think so.
I think, when we look at the stats of last time out, I mean, they had 38% possession at home to Brighton. Obviously, yes, maybe the sending off plays a part in that, but 38% possession against Hertzler and his first game in at charge at Brighton. Obviously, very good performance by Brighton, but it's their first game. You'd expect some bumps and kinks to be trying to ironed out over the course of the first few weeks of the season. They just waltzed in there. They sucker punched them, and they're on the back heels, and they couldn't do anything. I tell you what, let's try and predict the Spurs lineup. So, because this is, I think, where I'm going to bring some of the comments in from the wonderful people in my community. And I've seen some people, Fish and Plant, saying he wants to see a little bit of Odegaard. James has agreed with him as well. James has kind of come in here and gone, "Here's my team, Andy. Say it out loud."
Where's Odegaard's best position? Is it off the right or off the left?
So he predominantly played the left for Burnley, but when we've been watching the training and things like that, the right wing is where we'll probably find Odegaard for Spurs, which makes more sense. Yeah. But James has gone Vic, Porro, Van der Ven, Romero, Destiny, Sarr, Bergvall, Odegaard, Kulu, Solanke, Sonny. So he's actually dropping Maddison, which is very interesting. And I'm going to come to that in a second. Solanke's injured. Good head. What a name that is, mate. But yes, you're right. Solanke is injured. Odegaard straight in for Robert, and Kyrie, of course, Brennan Johnson's #1 fan. Not so keen on him starting. So, Luke, let's talk about it. I think I agree with you. Our back five is the back five: Vic, Destiny, Mickey, Kuti, and Porro. The midfield three. So, Bentancur, Maddison, and Sarr. We're changing out Bentancur. Who do you think is going to replace Bentancur?
At the number 6 position, I think it might be Archie Gray to start. I think naturally it would be Biss. He played there most last season when he was fit, but I just have a feeling in my head that Ange isn't going to let this go straight away with the whole what he's been suspended for. Obviously, he served his punishment with 1 game suspension from the club, but I think Ange might make him sweat a little bit on it. So I'll go with Archie Gray. What do you reckon, mate?
It's a difficult one for me because I'm very I've been really on this point because when we talk about chances, we talked about João Gomez being someone we've been linked to, and we've really come across the idea that Ange and the coaching staff, obviously these people are the coaching staff. They see our players every day. We're just very much scrolling Twitter and we get a few 30-second clips here and there. He has been mightily impressed by Bergvall and Archie Gray. Now, for me, I would only say one of them's going to start at the weekend. So, I could totally see Archie Gray being the guy starting there. Like you said, maybe Basuma, you bring him back into the squad, but you say, hey, you're back in the squad does not mean you walk back into the team, which that does make a slight example of the situation. But I guess you could look at the situation, and these are all hypotheticals before I give you who I truly think. Is there a situation where he goes, this was my guy last season. The other 2 guys who played predominantly midfield with him last season are fit and in the team. Do I just bring the band back together for that continuity? Hands up, give me Archie Gray. I want to see Archie Gray personally. Like you said, we're going to be on the ball a lot, tomorrow. We're going to be dominating. I'd love to see Archie Gray play, but then that would put me in the mindset of then Sarr and Maddison will play ahead of him. What do you reckon about Sarr and Maddison if we do play Archie Gray?
I think that will be the 3, to be honest. I think Sarr looked really energetic, didn't he? running back and forth. I think he's a great number 8 star. He just probably needs to refine his final passes potentially, and he got a few goals last season, but a few more goals would be good from him. Obviously, he's still young, but I think Ange trusts him, and I think with Maddison, I think the natural sub at around 60, 70 minutes is that swap for Bergvall. So I think what you said there is going to be our middle three, which I'm pretty happy with, to be fair.
Yeah, I think let's not make wholesale changes. You know, we're already forcing ourselves into two. I just think for me, because I'm going to make 2 changes in the attack in my eyes. So for me, I don't want to be overdoing it, bringing 4 or 5 changes in when in reality, the performance wasn't that bad. It was a small 15-minute window that we fell apart a little bit, but actually for the whole part, especially the first half, we were superb, which I'm going to bring the stats in to show some backing to that. So we come to the front three. Obviously, the man in the middle is not going to be there. We know Solanke's missing. So, Luke, are you going Richie through the centre? Are you going Sonny through the centre? Or are you going Kulusevski through the centre? What do you reckon?
I haven't really thought about Sonny actually through the centre. It depends how Richie's doing because he had an injury, didn't he, throughout the pre-season. Obviously, he came on at the end of the game on Monday. Missed that chance, didn't he, with his head? But I think I prefer Sonny on the left, actually. And I would like Richie to come through the centre. So I would go with Son, Richie, Johnson at the moment. Still.
Okay. So my thinking was I would actually have Sonny in the centre, personally. I just think it's Richie coming off a long-term injury, and he's had, I mean, whatever the cameo was against Leicester, 10 minutes max. You know, it hasn't really got a lot of in the legs. But I can absolutely see a 60-minute sub, Richie coming on as well. I can absolutely see that. I see Sonny through the centre. I see Kulusevski out on the right. Okay, because I think Kulu's form in pre-season was a standout bit of form, really. I thought he was fantastic in pre-season, and he played a lot of central football as well. Now, the left wing for me, I'm in an R in, and it's not going to make anyone happy, and I think everyone can kind of predict where I'm going with this. Is it Timo or is it Brennan Johnson? And I don't think I'm going to make anyone happy about that. I don't think anyone's going to be sitting there going, oh, Andy, you put me in such a great spot to choose. Because I know some people struggle with that situation. But you'd probably pick Johnson because at the end of the day, you spent big money on him. So for me, Johnson on the left, Kulu on the right, Sonny through the centre. Somewhat what has been the front three of last year, really. If we were to go that front three, Luke, would you still feel confident about a win?
Yeah, you've got to against Everton at home. They've just been battered by Brighton, so you've got to be confident. I know they'll probably be on the training pitch all week, won't they? With Daesh back 10. So I've just seen a comment here from a couple of the guys, Goodheads and James, about Kulu potentially as the striker. He played that pre-season, looked really good, didn't he? I thought he was one of our best players in pre-season. So potentially, and could go down that route if Richie's not fit to start, which I don't hate.
I was going to say, you could have a situation where if you're playing Sonny and you're playing Kulu and you're playing Johnson, they could absolutely interchange positions. It doesn't have to be that one player's locked into one position. You know, they could mix and match, could they?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's come to what my favorite segment is when I do my previews. It's the key battle. I want to know, Luke, your key battle. Is it a Tottenham attacker and an Everton defender? Is it an Everton attacker and Tottenham defender? Is it a couple midfielders going at it? I want to know your thoughts and feelings before I start coming through some of these comments before we give our score predictions. Who have you got and why?
So as I said, I think it will be all Spurs, 80% possession, just about putting the ball in the net. So my key battle is going to be James Maddison against Idrissa Gana Gueye. I think it will just be about him unlocking a pass or a through ball or getting a shot off. And it will just be whether Idrissa can block him in that or get close enough to him. So, yeah, I'll go that as my key battle, I think. What about you?
So I was in an R-ing, and I think as Spurs fans, not everyone, but a lot of people are very worried about the counter-attack and defending. And I was looking at their front three, and I looked at DCL through the centre, and DCL has his days. He very much does. You've got Dwight McNeil, who he played supposedly down the left against Brighton, but Jack Harrison was the one that was giving Brighton for the first sort of half an hour to 45 minutes a lot of issues down the right. And Destiny, let's be real, Destiny still isn't 100%. The match fitness isn't there, obviously, after the quad surgery and all those issues. And I was thinking, as much as I could sit here and be like, I want Son to score a hat-trick. I want Solanke, not Solanke, but I want Kulu and all these guys do that. I thought, negate what they might give you on the counter. And I've gone for Destiny versus Jack Harrison. I think that's their biggest threat. I think if you can quell it, I think you've got a hell of a chance of winning by 3 or 4. Because I think whilst Everton had 11 players, which, it wasn't for that long. Whilst they had that, and, Brighton showed their hand a little bit, and Everton went, right, okay, now I kind of feel like we know what you're doing. They just kept switching the ball out wide to Jack Harrison and just saying, run at Hinshelwood. And he was absolutely doing whatever he wanted. Destiny, I think, will be the guy that if you can just stop that, you stop all those counterattacks in that regard, with obviously Mickey flying over there as well, we should be absolutely fine. So interesting key battles. I was expecting you to go for an attacking thing. So I think my point's been proven correctly. So coming to the lovely people in the community and what they've been saying, we've got Good Ed saying it's going to be between Richie and Kulu in the middle. I don't hate that at all. You've got Odebear, Son, and Kulu. I'd love to see a little bit of Odebear, but is it a situation where it's a little bit too much too soon? Sonya's going to go for Timo out on the left, and if he's going to play, I'd like him on the left and not the right. As you and I watched, obviously, Monday Night Luke, I was not impressed with him on the right. I much preferred him on the left. Jessica's got Odeberg, Son, and Kulu. Michael's got an interesting one with Gray, to me, isn't ready yet. Sloppy with his passing, even last week. I would hope Biss starts and maybe Gray as a sub. So there's an interesting thought process there. And I'm going to bring Michael's comment and keep it on the screen with Bissouma and Gray. Obviously, we've talked about, is there a place in this where Bissouma's brought back into the squad, but maybe not brought straight back into the team as another lesson? Now, Andrew said that, he's going to be back in the squad, but there's still bridges to be rebuilt there.
Yeah.
Are we somewhat maybe cutting our nose off to spite our face by trying to make an example when actually we really could do with maybe Bissouma having one of those, those first 10 games of season, Bissouma games, and other games here and there. But if we had that Bissouma and that level of performance, do you go into the game tomorrow even more confident?
Yeah, I think it's a short-term gain, isn't it, versus the long-term kind of lesson. I think Biss is our best number 6 at the club. Clear to see when he's on it. He's so good on the ball, breaks up play really well, likes to tackle, strong, good at dribbling. But I think if personally, I prefer him just to leave him on the bench for one more game, and if we need to bring him on, we'll bring him on. But just to really drive it home to Biss that he needs to start acting his age, basically. I'm not going to go into it too much, but just to give him a little bit more pressure to him that he's got to perform and he's got to act in the professional manner. And I would start with Archie on this game. And I do sort of agree with whoever put that comment in. I can't remember who put that comment in. Oh, it was Michael, wasn't it? That Gray looked really good in some of the preseason games as a centre-back, but when he's come into midfield, I agree that some of his passing's been a bit sloppy, but he's a new signing, isn't he? He's getting used to the Ange way. He's getting used to where his teammates are and who's covering for who. So, it's going to take a little bit of time, but he looks really good, doesn't he? So,
yeah, that's fair enough. Like I said, with Archie, I think we've got such an exciting player in our hands there. And, Leeds fans are gutted that he's gone. There's a lot of Premier League fans that are gutted that he's come to us. So there's a real talented player there. But there's a point there to say we probably do need a win.
Yeah,
Bissouma probably gives us the best ability to get that win.
Yeah.
And actually, do you bring him in? And there's another school of thought that you bring him in, you put your arm around him and go, like, in Ange's, I'm Ange in this situation. Go out, do your thing, show everyone what you're about, because you'll rebuild that faith from the crowd and the fans by just going out there and dropping an 8 out of 10. Because if you do that, we win the game. Simple as that for me. I think Biss, like you said, is so important at the 6. And, he's not everyone's cup of tea. I understand that. But in terms of getting the ball off the back 4, I've got more faith in him than any one of our other midfielders at the moment. Now Bergvall may change my tune on that. Don't get me wrong. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Bergvall, but there we go. Coming into Jeff said, I'll play Basuma via Ange. If Basuma plays poorly, which I believe he won't, the community will blame him, obviously. But if you start Granny plays poorly, Basuma is still to blame. There's that. Mike Naylor, absolute legend in the chat, saying they'll low block us and try to win on a set piece. We must score earlier, or it could be a long, painful match, which I think you and I somewhat agreed to already, Luke. Michael still saying that he's having struggling to name the front 3. Shows that we have a lack of quality of depth in those positions. I think had Richie been fit, I think Richie starts. I just don't think Richie give you 60 minutes. Unlikely at the moment. I think it's just too much too soon. James, absolute legend, saying that we're going to win 8-0. So it doesn't matter to James who plays. We're winning 8-0. Rec somewhat agrees. Destiny's great in a one-on-one. James agrees with me. That's the key battle. Destiny versus Harrison. So I'm glad I've got some support, because I do agree with Luke that Maddison and Idrissa Gana Gay is going to be a scrap. All I'm going to say is if you're a betting man and you're having over and under on fouls, Maddison to win at least a foul and Idrissa Gana Gay to commit at least a foul are probably quite easy bets to win.
And to have yellow.
I told you, Destiny for a foul is really easy, and then he had about 6, and I was like, okay, well, that was
I
very
think Destiny's trying to get back to his fitness, isn't it? You can see in the second half he was struggling a little bit. In the first half, I thought it was quality, but running back, he's just got to work on his fitness a bit, hasn't he? Because he hasn't really had a pre-season, so. Yeah,
I think for what we could expect, I think he had a good game. Now, obviously, we expect Destiny to be top level tier, and he's probably 75% of that. But for a guy who's missed so much time through injury, he's played 45 minutes in pre-season. I think as good as you could possibly hope for. Mike's bringing in the corners and free kicks that have a problem. And Luke, you may have seen me talking about this, but if you haven't, I'm going to say it anyway. If you spear Vicario into the back of the net, it's going to be difficult to block things. And we saw against Leicester, they had some set pieces. They whipped balls into the box. And for the most part, we defended it pretty well. And Vic looked pretty comfortable coming for crosses for once, which was nice. And I think those new rules may help Vic maybe subdue a weakness. What do you reckon about his subduing of a weakness with the high ball?
Yeah, we had about 10 corners, didn't we, in the first 15 minutes, and they didn't have any. So I think we need to probably focus on our attacking corners as well. But yeah, I agree. Like last season was a bit of a rubbish performance, wasn't it, from the team? But I guess it will help with having Solanke in the squad to help with the defensive sides as well of that. Mm-hmm. But I see that they've sort of changed. Have they changed the rule this season that they're going to be watching more fouls on the keeper because of what's happened last season with especially Ben White and his full tomfoolery. But I think Vicario just got to learn to come out and be brave with it. And if he gets a foul, he's going to get a foul rather than sort of stay on his box and causes a little bit of an issue with those good deliveries that we seem to have all the time.
Absolutely. Evening, Chris, mate. How are you? You're right, mate. So I tell you what, let's come in and let's do it. Prediction for the result. We've gone through the teams. We've gone through the key battles. We've gone through, people wanting Odegaard to start, people wanting Johnson to be doing the skywalk instead of playing. We talked about whatever it is. We've talked about it all. And obviously, by the way, guys, get your comments in. Tell me your score prediction. Tell me your goal scorers. I'm happy to know them all. If you didn't know, in our group chat, which Luke and I are in, I always ask, give me score predictions and give me who is scoring for us. So, Luke, first and foremost, just tell me, what do you reckon the score line will be?
I'm actually going to predict as a clean sheet, and I'm going to go 2-0. And I think it will be 0-0 at half time, and I think it will be 65 5th minute, first goal, and then another one at the end when they're Everton trying to get the draw. So yeah, I'll go 2-0. You?
I think Luke, if I was to speak for the implosion of Spurs Twitter, you wouldn't do anyone's anxiety any good with a 0-0 at half time. I won't lie.
It's going to go that way, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So we've got Callum Roach, proper OG of the chat, absolute legend. We've got a 3-1 for Callum, which I'll take. Gonzo out in Australia thinks 11-0. So I think Gonzo's predicted every player to score, including Vicario, which is always nice.
Dean in disguise.
Oh yeah, we've got a friend, by the way, called Dean, who Luke and I will go. I think it'll be 2-1, 3-2, and Luke go, and then Dean will go 7-0, and you're like, yeah, okay, there's that. Rex gone 2-0. Kyrie's gone 2-1. 2-0 from Sonia, who's even given the scorers of Sonny and Richie. Good heads 3-0, which is interesting. Callum Roach reckons it's a Werner hat trick. 2-1 Sonny, 2 from Sonny and 1 from Madders. Mike's gone for 2-1. 3-0 Dreadlock. So a lot of wins for Spurs. What do I reckon? Luke, I'm going to go clean sheet with you. But I'm not going to go 2-0. I think I'm going to go 3-0. And I think we're going to be 1-0 up at half time. And I think Andrew's going to come into the half time and be like, we did this against Leicester. We controlled the game. We didn't kill it. I want you to go out there and I want you to kill it. And I think within the next 5 to 10 minutes of the second half, we'll get the second. And then Everton are going, well, we're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at this. They'll do that. And then, like Spurs, on the counter, dangerous beyond danger. And I think we're going to go 3-0. So going for the rest, Kieran proper.
3-0s.
2-0, 3-0. Yeah. We've got Kieran going 4-0, 2-0, 3-0 from Ray, 3-1 from Ezekiel. Kyrie reckons we'll talk about Brennan Johnson in a minute, Kyrie. I won't forget, I promise. All right. I'm going to keep it on the screen. There's Kyrie's comment. I'm going to go about it in a minute. So I've gone 3-0. Luke, my goal scorers, I'll tell you them now. I think we're going to have 1 from Sonny. Wherever Sonny starts, we're going Sonny. I think Kulu's going to get 1, and I think Madders will get 1. What do you reckon your 2 goal scorers will look like?
Because I'm going Richie to start, I think Richie will get 1, and I think Sonny will get 1.
Solid.
Yeah.
So we're agreeing on Sonny to score, basically, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we found our dean of the community. So not only have we got an 11-0 from Gonzo, we've got 9-0 from James. So between them, we've got 20-0. Good to see. Vic to get
Positivity.
at least 18.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what the community is all about, Luke.
9-0 to us. Yeah.
Well, I'd take a 9-0. Michael's gone for 2-1. Still not confident we keep clean sheet. And I get that, Michael. It's pretty brutal at the moment, isn't it? So, Luke, Kyrie wants to know your thoughts on Brennan Johnson, nice and quickly. Do you like him? Do you hate him? Do you love him? Do you loathe him? What is your feelings about Brennan Johnson? And maybe what you think you want a bit more of him for?
I really like Brennan Johnson. I think last season he was kind of forced into the team where he wasn't expected to play that many games, and we were supposed to kind of ease him in a bit, wasn't it, Andy?
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think he's got to do a bit better, taking on his man. What he did at Nottingham Forest, taking on your right back or your left back if he's on the right, and putting balls in the box. Last season you saw it with putting balls into the box to Richie. He scored quite a few of those low-driven ones, didn't he? He's got to carry on with that. I like the fact in the Leicester game he was pressing hard. He was doing that part of the game, which we didn't really see too much last season, and winning back the ball. But I like Brennan Johnson, and I think he just needs to be given a little bit of time. And you've got to remember, he's only, 23? Like that.
I'll bring up his age. You keep talking whilst I bring it up. Don't worry.
Yeah. So overall, I like him a lot, and he's just got to get a bit more confident, I think. Sorry, Luca, if you don't like him.
No. So you've got him. He's 23. He's probably like 23 in a few months. So he's not that old or anything. And I think, we've talked about him on this channel, and we've got the great community here that we don't all have to love a player, but we will all support the player. I think that's the key thing here. So I believe in Brennan Johnson, but I would like to see a bit more in the attacking side, like yourself, Luke. I think that's fair. I agree. I talked about it. The work rate, the defensive work. I don't think anyone on earth could floor him for what he was doing. It could be worse. he could be Anthony. So there's that. There is a small win in there. He could be an £85 million guy, you know?
I'm just seeing his goals and assists last season, because I don't think he did that bad, really, did he, last season, compared to a lot of
Not compared to the bigger names who struggled. No, his statistics are actually quite solid. Obviously, I know you bring him up in a second, so I'm not going to spoil it for anyone. Whilst you're doing that, we've got 4-2 Johnson first double, which I like that. Goodhead says Brennan has a huge disparity in performances. It's why he's so frustrating. He plays so well or pretty dang bad. I think he'll come correct soonish, which I like. Hotspur 74, clean sheets a must against a side who are very strong with set piece play. Callum Roach, same age as Decky and Porro. I don't know why Johnson gets that excuse. Interesting. A dumb potato. Thinking of replacing Solanke with Maddison in my FPL team. Do you think he'll do well tomorrow, even with only 60 minutes? Sonny, double hat trick, 6 goals. Richie hat trick, 3 goals. I love it, James. He had quite a few assists. He did. So, Luke, I just want to get your thoughts on, obviously, Brennan's stats. But then, because you're second in my FPL league, Dean Gibb isn't here to take the mantle of number one. So you'll have to be number one for the video. I want you to tell a dumb potato, should he replace Solanke with Maddison? So first and foremost, Brennan Johnson, and then we'll come to FPL.
Yeah, so Brennan Johnson just looked, he got 15 goals and assists combined last season. I think it's 5 goals, 10 assists. So I think that's pretty good for a first season. I know he played the majority of it on that right side, but as your first season, I think that's a pretty good start. Obviously, towards the end of the season, that kind of tailed off a little bit, and he didn't play amazingly in pre-season, I thought. So he's obviously got to step up a little bit.
Yeah.
And in terms of the FPL question, query, depends, because they play different positions, don't they? Solanke and Maddison. So you've got to make 2. It depends if you've got 2 free. You have to wait till this week to make the 2, unless you want to take a -4.
Yeah.
What I would probably do is either wait till next week and see if Solanke's fit, or swap Solanke with someone like who played well. Wood played okay. He scored last game, didn't he? Manise looked quite sharp. There's a couple of £6 million attackers if you don't have the coin to go for Haaland, which I've got in my team.
Yeah, I don't have Haaland. Luke is second in the league. I'm 36, so I would not give you my idea. I took out Lissandro Martinez before the game week started. That backfired. Put Quansah in. That backfired. Took Gavardiol out so I could get Erdegaard in. That backfired. So I went 0 for 7 on some of the last-minute moves, so that was always fun. Finishing off with a little bit more, Rohan thinks he's a good player, but a bit shaky near the goal. I think I'd probably agree. Will Mikey Moore feature in this match? If I had to put my house on it, I'm going to say no, but we should see.
He played, didn't he, on Tuesday?
He did, yeah.
He played Tuesday, he scored, didn't he? So
scored 2 assists, I believe, as well.
Yeah, I think with Erdegaard coming in as well, we've got another option that we didn't have last week too on the bench for an attacking sub. So I think he'll come to the bench, won't he?
Yeah, obviously Lancashire with a hammy injury, he's going to miss a bit of time, so don't expect him on the bench. Rec Ross saying Johnson seems a bit nervous. Nothing wrong with that at all, but because he should gain confidence as he gets older. That being said, I don't think he should be a regular starter at the moment, which is fair. Sonia, I want some of what these people are on. 6-0. I love it, Sonia. Callum Roach is calling me out for my Fantasy Football League. I've got Arsenal picks in my team. I was actually thinking, should I make it a non-Arsenal Fantasy Football League? But I thought, too many rules. The one rule of having at least one Spurs player.
How many have you got? Just Saka? Or...
No, I've got 3.
Oh, that, yeah. You deserve
to I've got
one.
You got Saliba?
I've just got Saka. No, I've just got Saka. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I've got Saka as well. I put Erdegaard. It was Erdegaard or Bruno Fernandes, but both stunk up the gaff, so it was fine. And the other one I got Saliba. So, I needed to get an Arsenal defender in there because of the clean sheets last season. But I do need to get Man City in there at some point. I'm thinking Rico Lewis might be a pick this year, by the way.
Yeah. He played right back, didn't he? But Cole Walker probably going to come back in, isn't he? So.
You would think. Good old Walks. Johnson's probably better at backup centre forward. Kyrie finishing off with, you know what? I'll be fair to Brennan. The one thing he does well is get into good positions, but he misses sitters. Hopefully it's fixable. And I think it will. Kyrie, that's probably the fairest you've been on him in a little while. No to Mikey for this game. And I forgot about Porro. 10-0 Spurs with a Porro banger goal. And when Porro scores, they are normally all bangers, although that weird header, I don't know what that's all about. What's he doing there? But anyway, thank you all so much for joining for me and joining the new guest, Luke, here. If you want to know Luke's social media handles, it's on the screen. Go follow him on Twitter if you want to. He's not on YouTube yet. I'll try and persuade him to come and join the YouTube world at some point. But thank you all so much for joining me. Luke, thank you for joining me this evening. I know you've got to get up and go to the curry house. I expect to get some nice, lovely, sexy pictures of the curry. I'm having fish, so not as exciting. Yes. Enjoy the evening, my friend. Okay.
Catch you later. Now, cheers, Andy. Cheers, everyone, for watch this one. It's been enjoyable.
Good. I'm glad. Well, we'll, like I said, you might even be on for the review on Sunday. We'll see what that looks like. If not, you're back next week to talk more nonsense about Spurs. But for everyone watching us, thank you all for joining us this evening, and we will see you all very, very soon. Peace out, guys, and enjoy your evening. Take care.